All right, let's dive into some English conversation tips, especially for those of you just starting out.
Sounds good.
We're looking at this fluent new article.
Okay.
It's called English Conversation for Beginners. 45 plus phrases and 10 videos.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some great advice in there.
Yeah.
And even some videos
Cool.
to help you practice.
Nice.
You know, things like greetings and introductions.
Mm-hmm.
Even that small talk, that can be a little tricky.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Small talk can be like a minefield when you're new to a language.
Definitely.
But what this article does so well is it, like, breaks down those simple interactions,
Gotcha.
like greetings, which can be surprisingly stressful
Oh, yeah.
when you're trying to get them right.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
You'd think just saying hello would be easy.
You would think so.
But they point out there's actually a whole range of greetings,
There are.
from casual to formal, like howdy.
Yeah.
Probably not the best for a job interview.
Oh, definitely not. That's where understanding the cultural context is so important.
Yeah.
Like, the article gives examples of using good evening in a formal setting versus using hey with your friends.
Yeah,
It really highlights how your greeting kind of sets the tone right off the bat.
for sure.
It's subtle, but it's a powerful way to show respect
I see what you mean.
and build rapport.
And sometimes it's not even about the words themselves.
Right.
I was reading about how even how are you
Yeah,
doesn't always need a long, detailed response.
it doesn't.
It's more of a social ritual
Okay.
than an actual question about your emotional state.
Exactly. It's interesting how certain phrases become less about their literal meaning
Right.
and more about social signaling.
Yeah, like, think about it.
Yeah.
When someone says, how are you,
Yeah.
in passing,
Yeah.
they're not really expecting you to tell them all your problems
They're not.
or even your successes, right?
No.
It's more about just acknowledging each other and kind of keeping things moving along smoothly.
Keeping the social harmony.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of something they talked about with introductions.
Okay.
They keep it super simple
Yeah.
with phrases like, my name is your name,
Mm-hmm.
what's your name?
Right, right.
Sometimes it's those classic phrases
Yeah.
that are actually the most effective.
They really are.
They're kind of like a universal code.
I like that. Universal code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm friendly, let's connect.
Yeah.
And what's great is those phrases work in so many situations.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like meeting someone for the first time or reconnecting after a while.
Mhm.
Those introductions just get the job done
They do.
without making things complicated.
I agree.
Okay, so we've covered the hello and nice to meet you part.
All right.
But then comes what the article calls the art of small talk.
Oh, yes.
And they really emphasize how important this is,
They do.
particularly in places like the U.S., Canada, England.
Yeah, those English-speaking cultures.
Exactly.
It's interesting to think about why that is, though.
Yeah.
Like, small talk isn't just about filling the silence.
Right.
It actually has an important social function.
Okay.
Especially in those cultures.
So it's like a bridge then
It is, yeah.
between the initial hello
Uh-huh.
and a deeper conversation.
Exactly. He gives you a chance to, establish some common ground,
Nice.
sign some shared interests.
Yeah.
And build that connection
Okay.
before you dive into something more serious.
That makes a lot of sense.
Or personal.
Sounds like a warm-up then.
Exactly. It's like testing the waters of the conversation,
Okay.
seeing if you click with someone.
Right. So it's like you're both figuring out if you're on the same page before launching into a deep discussion about, I don't know, quantum physics or something.
Right, exactly. And even though it might seem a little superficial,
Yeah.
small talk can actually tell you a lot about a person, like their personality, their communication style, even their cultural background.
It's like a little dance then.
It is. It's a subtle dance. But once you learn the steps,
Right.
it's much easier
I can see that.
to navigate.
It's almost like a secret language you have to learn
Yeah.
to unlock the deeper conversations.
Exactly. And the article gives some good tips
Okay.
on how to do that.
Nice.
One thing that I thought was interesting was their discussion of open-ended versus closed-ended questions.
Oh, yeah.
That's something even native speakers could use a refresher on.
I'm all ears. I feel like this is where things get interesting.
Well, the article says that closed-ended questions,
Okay.
the ones you can answer with just yes or no,
Right.
those can be good for, like, confirming facts
Facts.
or getting a quick answer.
Right. Right.
But if you really want to have a good conversation,
Yeah.
you need to use open-ended questions.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Those are your secret weapon.
So what makes open-ended questions so special?
Well, think about it.
Right.
A closed-ended question like, do you like movies?
Yeah.
That can kind of shut down the conversation.
It can, yeah.
But if you ask, what kind of movies do you enjoy?
Okay.
Now you're opening up the conversation.
Right.
You're letting the other person share more
Makes sense.
their thoughts, feelings, experiences.
It's like you're giving them space to really get into it.
Exactly. And the article points out those why questions, who, what, where, when, why.
Right.
Those are gold for conversations. They get people thinking and sharing more about themselves.
So it's not just asking any question.
No.
It's asking the right kind of question.
Exactly. You got to get that conversation going.
You're like a conversational detective then.
I like that. Yeah, you're using those questions to figure out what the other person is interested in.
That's cool.
And as you get those clues, you start to connect with them more.
Find that common ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, let's be real.
Yeah.
Not every conversation is perfect.
For sure.
What about when you just don't understand something?
Yeah, all the time.
Maybe you didn't hear what they said, or you need them to clarify.
Happens to the best of us.
The article has some good advice for that, too.
Oh, good.
It's so important to have those phrases ready.
Yeah.
Because we've all been there.
Right.
You know, misunderstandings happen.
They do.
We all need a little help sometimes.
Absolutely.
The important thing is to just ask politely.
Right.
Don't be embarrassed.
So what do they suggest?
They give some examples like, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay.
Could you please repeat?
Much better than just nodding along.
Way better.
Pretending you understand.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I really don't.
Those phrases are lifesavers.
I like that.
They help you avoid those awkward moments.
Right. You can steer the conversation back on track.
Exactly. And the article emphasizes being polite. It's much better to say, could you please explain that?
Yeah.
Than to just blurt out, I don't understand.
I see what you mean.
It's all about those little things.
Right. Those social cues.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what about when you're ready to end the conversation?
Oh, yeah. That can be tricky.
The article has some advice on how to do that gracefully.
I'm curious about this.
Okay, well, one of the key things is to signal that you're about to end the conversation.
Okay.
Like using phrases like, I have to get going, or it was great chatting with you.
Right. So you're not just suddenly saying goodbye.
Right. You're giving them a heads up.
It's like a warning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can also help to mention something you enjoyed about the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed hearing about your trip to Italy.
That's nice.
It shows you were listening, that you valued the conversation.
Like ending on a good note.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they also talk about using small talk.
Oh, interesting.
To kind of ease out of the conversation.
So small talk is good for beginnings and endings.
It is, yeah. Something simple like, have a great day, or talk to you soon.
Right.
Can be really effective.
It brings the conversation full circle.
Exactly. You start with small talk, you end with small talk.
I like that.
It's a good way to leave a good impression.
Nice. But the article doesn't just cover the basics.
It doesn't.
They go a step further.
They do.
They actually give some really good tips.
Okay.
On how to improve your overall conversation skills.
And that's where it gets really good.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just phrases.
Right.
It teaches you techniques to be more confident.
Oh, nice.
And fluent.
I like that.
One that stood out to me was shadowing.
Shadowing. What's that?
So you listen to a native speaker.
Okay.
And you repeat what they're saying.
Oh, interesting.
You try to copy their pronunciation, their intonation, their rhythm.
It's like you're their vocal shadow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can do this with all kinds of things.
Okay.
Podcasts, movies, TV shows, YouTube.
That sounds kind of fun.
It is. It's a really good way to practice.
And they also suggest something that might seem a little silly.
Yeah.
Talking to yourself.
I know.
It sounds strange.
It does.
But you're never going to feel self-conscious, right?
Exactly. You're totally free to experiment.
Okay.
Try out new words, work on your pronunciation. Just get comfortable with speaking English.
It's like you always have a conversation partner.
You do. And they suggest doing it in front of a mirror.
Oh, interesting.
So you can practice your body language, too.
That's a pro tip.
It is. I'm noticing a theme here.
What's that?
They really emphasize making practice fun.
They do, yeah.
The more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to stick with it.
That makes sense.
And that consistency is what leads to fluency.
They also talk about immersing yourself in English media,
Mm-hmm.
like movies and TV shows.
YouTube, too.
Right, surround yourself with the language.
You're not just listening.
Yeah.
You're actually engaging with it. You're learning new vocabulary, hearing different accents.
Right.
You see how it's used in real life.
It's like you're turning your free time into learning time.
Exactly. They even recommend some specific things.
Oh, cool. Like what?
The Stuff You Should Know podcast.
Okay.
It's really good for clear explanations.
Nice.
They also mentioned the Fluent U app. It uses real videos to teach English.
That sounds cool.
And they recommend YouTube channels too.
Which one?
Like Daily English Conversation.
Okay.
It has a lot of useful lessons.
Awesome. So many options.
Yeah. And for pronunciation, they suggest something that takes me back to my childhood.
Oh, what's that?
Tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters. I haven't done those in years.
They're not just a fun game, though.
They're not.
They can actually help you get better at pronunciation.
I can see that.
You really have to pay attention to the sounds.
Right. Articulate clearly.
It's like a workout for your tongue and your lips.
Yeah, I get it.
Helps you with those difficult sounds.
That makes sense.
And let's be honest, they're just fun.
Yeah, they are.
It's a good way to add some fun to your practice.
Right. It keeps you motivated.
Exactly. But even with all these great tips, it's easy to feel discouraged when you make mistakes.
It is.
And the article talks about that.
Okay.
It reminds us that mistakes are normal.
They're
part of learning.
That's reassuring.
It is. It's easy to want to be perfect.
Right.
But fluency takes time and effort.
For sure.
And there will be bumps along the way. They actually encourage us to reframe mistakes.
Okay.
Not as failures, but as opportunities to learn.
I like that.
It's like when you see those videos online,
Yeah.
people trying those crazy stunts, even when they mess up.
Right.
They're still learning.
I see what you mean.
Figuring out what works and what doesn't.
It's like fail forward.
Exactly. And it's the same with language learning.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
They also suggest finding a language partner.
Oh, yeah.
Or a tutor to practice with.
That's a good idea.
Getting feedback can really help.
It can.
It doesn't have to be super formal.
Right.
Even just chatting with a friend who's also learning English.
That's a great way to practice.
It's like having a workout buddy.
Exactly. And they mention online courses, too,
Go on.
for people who want something more structured.
So many options.
There are. One of the best things about this article is that it ends with a question.
Okay.
It asks, what's one small step you can take today
Oh, I like that.
to practice your English?
It's all about taking action,
It is.
even if it's small.
Exactly.
Maybe watch a TV show with subtitles.
Uh-huh.
Or try using a phrase you learned.
Those little things add up.
They do.
The most important thing is to just start talking.
Right.
Don't be afraid.
Have fun with it.
Exactly.
Well, I hope this deep dive has given you some good tips.
Me too.
And the motivation to keep practicing.
Yeah, keep learning.
And remember,
What's that?
fluency isn't about being perfect.
No, it's not.
It's about making progress.
You got it.
So keep talking, keep learning, and keep exploring the world of English conversation.
And don't forget to check out those resources.
Yes, definitely.
Fluent You, the podcast, the YouTube channel.
So many great tools out there.
There are. Happy conversing, everyone.
Happy conversing.
See you.